Hello and welcome to this video focusing on the confirmation test we have for ACE. In a moment, we'll look at how to administer this in our system MPP. But let's begin with some theory and reflections on how you can safeguard your selection process. We'll start with three important questions. Is it common? Is it new? And how can it be done? For the question of how common cheating is on this type of test, it's not very common, especially not if people are clearly told what counts as cheating. Today, when it's common to use AI tools as help, for example, when writing a CV or a cover letter, it is important to communicate clearly that using such tools when completing the tests counts as cheating. On the question, is it new? The answer is no, it's not new. Some types of people are more prone to cheating, and that's always been the case. That's exactly why we had a confirmation test for ACE for many years. How can it be done? Well, this is a question that changes over time. In the past, people might have had someone else take their test for them, assuming that person would get a higher score. Nowadays, we see more cases where candidates try to answer questions using AI like ChatGPT. So far, though, these tools vary in how good they are at solving the tasks, especially the spatial ones, which we use both in ACE and in our other logical test core. So what can and should you do? Well, first of all, make sure you define an AI policy for the entire recruitment process and all the methods. Publish it on your website and link to it in all candidate communication. We know people don't always read all the information that they receive, so it's better to repeat it too often than too rarely. Secondly, define what the consequences will be for those who cheat. Are they out of the process? Are they banned from applying again? Be clear about what the consequence is and communicate it, both internally and externally. It can be difficult for you as an individual to stand firm against a candidate if there isn't a clear policy and an established way of working. Finally, consider how you will use the recruitment methods and apply that consistently. For example, consider whether candidates should really be allowed to take tests and perform cases online, and whether you should continue with Teams interviews. Cheating affects all methods in the process, and globally we're seeing a shift in recruitment back towards doing interviews and tests on-site at the employer's or recruitment company's premises. Another way of working with online methods is through a so-called proctoring solution, where tests or interviews are conducted with a supervision application, especially designed to detect cheating and AI use. What seems to be clear is that we are moving toward greater control of cheating. One thing you can do with ACE is to send a so-called confirm test. This is a short test designed to confirm that the person taking it truly has the ability indicated by their first original result. I'll shortly show you how to trigger a confirm test. But first, let's talk about what needs to be in place before you apply the test. The most important step, as mentioned earlier, is to decide what the consequences will be for cheating and then clearly communicate that to candidates. Without this step, it can be tricky to enforce and risk being unfair to those who didn't cheat. Once that's done, you can send out the confirm test, which should be done on site at your premises. The easiest is to do it alongside an interview, and this should be clearly communicated. The test takes a maximum of 15 minutes, and you will get results immediately. You will see three possible outcomes. Confirmed results. No reason to suspect cheating. Inform the candidate and continue the process. This is by far the most common result. New test recommended. Some uncertainty around the result, conduct a new supervised test to replace the old one. And lastly, unconfirmed result. The person struggles with the same tasks as in the original test. There's large differences in the results. Ask the person how the original test was carried out and assess whether cheating could explain it. Now, let's look at how it works in the platform. As you can see, I'm inside an assessment, graduate screening. And let's say we've invited Brandon Bennett to an interview. When he's on site, click on the 3 dots under Action. And then click Start ACE Confirm. A code will then be generated, which you can copy. Then click on the link below and enter the code in the box. The candidate can then click on Go and will receive more information, not about how to solve the tasks, but rather about what they can do to best prepare themselves to answer the questions. They are also informed that they have a maximum of 15 minutes to complete the test, but that it also can be ended earlier. If you want the person to take the test on their own computer instead of yours, you can email them the link and the code once they are ready in the room and have their computer open. When the candidate has finished and the test closes, you can review the results again under Action. For example, let's look at Anna Anderson's result. It's confirmed, which is the most common outcome. If we look instead at my test, you will see that a new ACE test is recommended with a warning triangle. You'll also see this under the ACE result in the analysis view. That's everything about the ACE Confirm test. If you want to get in touch with us at Master, the easiest way is via support@master.se or by calling +46 8 32 42 42. Thank you for watching.